Welcome back. The Democratic National Convention has generated enormous excitement around Kamala Harris. People are really excited about her policies, or at least they would be if they knew what any of them were.
Your favourite policy of Kamala's?
That's a hard one.
What's your favourite policy of Kamala's?
Her being president.
That's your favourite policy position?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
Because it covers everything that she defends.
I'm really excited for her to restore reproductive rights across America.
How do you think she'll go about doing that?
I don't know.
What a fun question.
I don't know. I'm picking and choosing. I mean, I really like most of them.
Oh dear. Joining us now is Based Politics podcast co-host Brad Polumbo. Brad, good to see you. The silence is deafening when it comes to her policies.
Yeah, look, I almost can't blame them because she still doesn't actually have any policies on her website. So they would have to look and search to find them, which of course they're not going to do because it's a cult of personality that they're building around Kamala Harris. And look, it's not exactly a surprise that many of her supporters don't have a policy idea, but it contrasts pretty strongly with, if, for example, if you went to a Trump event and you asked them, I think most people would say, we support building the wall. We support, trade policies. We support tax cuts, different things that he did. Well, with Kamala, it's mostly about the vibes. And that's because the mainstream media has really been shilling for her and promoting her as this awesome candidate and allowing her to essentially pretend to be both a moderate and a hardcore progressive. And she's been very evasive and avoiding taking positions on issues and avoiding interviews. And I think that's why some of her supporters are just supporting her mostly based on the vibes, but not a great way to pick the future leader of the free world, if you ask me.
Oh, come on, Brad. Why do you hate Joy so much? What's wrong with you? Hey, one of my favourite parts of the DNC was the way they pretended love for Joe Biden just weeks after stabbing him in the back. Check out Nancy Pelosi joining chants of, "We love Joe." Now, Brad, is it just me or did that not seem very heartfelt?
No, I mean, that's got to be one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen and so insulting to poor Joe Biden. They almost made me feel bad for him. As much as he's done for our country, you can't help but feel a little bad for the guy because they used him and then as soon as they were done with him, threw him under the bus and give him, a fake cheer or two on his way out the door as they kick him out the door and replace him with Kamala Harris. I mean, look, even at the DNC, he glitched horribly multiple times during his speech. It was just another reminder that he is totally unfit for office. He has mentally declined to an alarming place. But at the same time, Democrats really did use and exploit him until they couldn't get away with it any longer. And there's honestly shame in that for people like Nancy Pelosi, who have known for a long time that the president is not okay, is not up to the job. But only once it became exposed to the public did they take the steps that were necessary to remove him and replace him. But of course, preserving him in office for now, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you're not fit enough and not up to the job of president to run for it again, how are you going to stay in office now? But I guess he just gets this awkward patting on the back on his way out the door. To me, it's a really sad end to a pitiful chapter of American history.
Yeah, it so is. Last week, Nancy Pelosi wanted him on Mount Rushmore, and this week she can't wait to get rid of him. It's just so obvious. Now, Brad, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's suspended his campaign and has endorsed Donald Trump. Tell us how significant this is, given, of course, he comes from Democrat royalty.
Yeah, this could be a game changer, actually, because RFK Jr. was getting some serious traction as an independent candidate, up to, 6-7% in some swing states like Arizona in some polls. And so if even just 1 or 2% of the vote swings from RFK Jr. to Donald Trump, that's enough to decide an election, right? Because it will come down to a handful of swing states. I mean, in 2016, Trump won by tens of thousands of votes in a few key states. So if you have somebody like RFK Jr., who he has millions of people who support him, if most of them follow him to Trump, that could be enough to get Trump over the line in a very close election that could come down to just a few key states by tens of thousands of votes. So Democrats mocked RFK Jr. And to be clear, he's got some wacky ideas and some oddball stories from his history, but he does have some momentum and some supporters. And I think they kind of mocked and disdained those people at their own peril, inevitably pushing them into the arms of the Trump campaign, who could seriously benefit from their support in key swing states.